So, No Exit by Jean-Paul Sartre is a three-act, or I'm sorry, not three. Three characters are in a play, and this came out in what, like early '40s, mid 1944. So, right around like kind of I would say kind of French underground kind of resistance movement that in World War II that Sartre took place with, and that's kind of more exemplified, I believe, in The Wall. You know, this idea of revolutionaries, and this kind of has a little bit of a plays a piece or a role rather in this uh, play as well, but it is a jam-packed, one of my favorite of Jean Paul Sartre. I think it's probably everybody's kind of go-to kind of quote of like "hell is other people," which I'll get to in a little bit. So there are three souls who are damned to be in existence in a tiny little room that kind of resembles like an old style French. I want to say it's like one of the, I don't know if it's the third or second empire, one of those eras when it's like kind of like pre-Victorian by a good margin, maybe like near 17, 1800s or so. So kind of old style kind of thing that's very specific. And so they, instead of having, being pronged and tortured, they're actually just told to sit in a room. And there is a valet there that is can be communicated with via a bell, a tiny little bell, but it later is revealed that the valet only shows up on his own accord, and I don't think the bell actually really does anything. It kind of just offers a little bit of false hope. Excuse me. So the three of them are Gassin, Estelle, and Inez. So two women and a guy. So this is like a perfect kind of like really ripe, like genius of Sartre for him to have two guys, or sorry, two girls and a woman, and yeah, so um, they all think that because they're all very guarded at first. They're like, no, this can't be. We're here by not by accident. Like this has to be an accident. Because Estelle is like very, she's like, I didn't do anything wrong. And then Inez is a little bit more um, willing to kind of like, just like stop all the smoke and mirrors and just like say like, listen, like we're gonna be here for a while. I think not by accident that we're together. So she's like, let's just all confess. So Gasin, and on the other hand, says like, no, we shouldn't, we should be try to be silent. I think because like the um, basically Inez is telling her that like we are supposed to be one another's torturer, and then like they that kind of like gets them in a bit of a rift. So there is Garcin, but they but it tries to stay silent, but like Inez starts like singing, and then talking about like execution, and Estelle goes like back and forth to a mirror where she basically checks on her appearance, and I don't think she does find one. Yeah, there's no mirrors. The only thing there is just that bell, I believe. And these like chairs that they're put in, and I think you can see this too exemplified in the stage directions too. Like it says, like like enter stage, exterior or interior rather day, and you see this like people. I don't know if I've seen it ever watched a full thing. Probably the full thing probably wouldn't be more than an hour, maybe 45-minute performance. But yeah, these chairs, it would probably be a very minimal setup, which I like. And yeah, so things get darker. Basically, it's revealed that Inez, um, you know, tries to seduce Adele. She like looks in her eyes, and like the only reflection they can find is in each other's eyes. So she's like looking in Inez's eyes, and she's like, or in Estelle's eyes, and is like, I can see my reflection. It's like very beautiful, and so but it's kind of a weird thing because it's like a love triangle supposed to be happening, but it's like Garcine is not particularly like drawn to either of the women. But anyway, but so after some time, they finally decide to confess what brought them there, and basically, Garcin was unfaithful to his wife, and was executed by a firing squad for deserting his comrades and more. And then that's where the war shows up too. Inez was very manipulative and like conniving, and she ended up like committing adultery with her cousin's wife, I believe. And then Florence was her cousin, yeah, his wife Florence was um, ended up. It's kind of a difficult thing with Trussell where they he convinced one of them to leave their husband, and then basically from the affair, I think what happens is that the resulting child ends up getting kind of the brunt of the worst aspect and ends up being killed. The child, I believe she like drowns her own child, which is like the worst thing. Like kind of and then that basically made the father commit suicide. So it's like basically like a triple, like just horrible thing. Um, so they basically, even though they get this out of the way, they there's still no way they're still like massively annoyed by each other, and like everything is setting one another off. And basically, um, Garcine finally gives in to Estelle to basically, and but he wants like something. He's very um, desperate to get her like her validation. Like, please tell me you don't think I'm a coward, like for deserting uh, my post and for mistreating my wife and like all that. Like please, he needs like her to say it. Like it's just like a very specific thing, and that's a very bad faith kind of Sartre's, one of his famous ideas of like living in bad faith of like rather than living authentically, and like just like being true and like in and even though you're cursed to be free and it's like almost like you're doomed to be free, and rather than choosing that kind of entire existential freedom, you're in bad faith choosing this kind of thing of like I have to be seen. That's why a very interesting thing with like the eyes too, with them trying to find a reflection, because it's like the gaze is a big thing Sartre talked about too, and I think Lacan as well. I think it was Jacques Lacan in his I don't know if his stuff he did on Freud, that kind of extended psychoanalytics, kind of the post Freudian kind of thing. But yeah, he and Sartre both kind of were progenitors of the idea, and like added some revelations about the gaze, and like the fact that we're always seeking, like you're never safe from other people's eyes. Like eyes are always going to be on you, even if you're not. Like you're somehow, it's like a not just a panopticon. Like it's not like even quite that overt, like because panopticon is like I can see you but you can't see me kind of thing. But it's more of a the subject and object dialectic is like the most probably simplistic reducing way of bringing it down. But yeah, he's very frightened by like what will happen, like what of other people's. We're always on edge because of how much knowledge, and like especially these days, like it's impossible to like get away, like it's like impossible to just disappear your face, to get off the map. I think that's something Milan Kundera was saying in Identity, which I think I did do that. But yeah, it's just like a interesting thing, like the fact that you can't like like just like I just want to disappear, like like the with forensics and like how highly advanced these things are, it's like nigh impossible. But basically, so so what happens is like Inez, because of Estelle tries to cajole Goscinny into a kiss. What happens is Inez constantly is like diverting their attention, is like watching them. So it's like again the gaze, like you can't escape it, like they try to find some type of way to escape, like some way, and like they're just like stuck in each other's eyes. They can't get out of this room. There's no like doors are locked, like they don't lead anywhere. Ooh, it's a perfect kind of localized hell, for like it's just. And with Estelle, basically is just trying to at least feign attraction, try to get, but there's still that jealousy aspect where he's like, but like that he can't have, like you can't have her, like you can try to have her, like Inez is basically saying, isn't, but I'm always gonna be here, like watching, like just we're just gonna be here, and it's just like, and like it's just like it's not even, it's beyond like voyeurism, it's like because it's like, well, it's not even, it's not like as like spooky, I guess, but it's like it's something where it's like they're already bore each other's souls to one another, like they both all know, so you think there wouldn't be anything really to be scared about, to really be insecure. but they just constantly find new things to kind of, because if these people are perfectly set up for an eternity, it's like hell, this idea of like hell rather than it's, I don't know if ties into Nietzsche's eternal recurrence, or all events are doomed to repeat, but it is like more of like a consciousness, the being of that, which is, our consciousness subsists, but without like a material body. But like in this case, it's like for the sake of, I guess, clarity and like the, it's kind of like, it just like he, I guess you have to have kind of use your imagination a little bit to kind of imagine it. But yeah, they're both desperately trying to escape, and um, but yeah, but well, actually, the door does open. Yeah. So he's, it's basically the door kind of just leaves nowhere. It, like opens, but it's just like just enough. So it's like teasing them. They decide to remain and just stop doing that. So all three of them try to convince Inez that he's not Carlo too. So now he's like turned to her and he's like, "Please think that I'm not Carlo," and she refuses, and then states flat to his face like, "Yeah, you're a coward," and basically says like, I'm gonna make your life a living hell forever." And then Garsoon concludes that rather than physical torture devices and prongs, hell is other people, and that's the quote I'd like to read. So this is hell. I'd never have believed it. You remember what we were all told about the torture chambers, the fire and brimstone, the burning marl, old wives' tales. There's no need for that. No need for red hot pokers. Hell is other people. Great. So yeah, they basically, that's kind of the end of it. Estelle tries to keep importuning and seducing Garcin, but he's like, he can't, do anything with Inez watching, and then, if Inez and Estelle want to do anything, like they can't with Garcin watching. So, and then though this is the point, yeah, Estelle actually picks up a paper knife and then actually starts stabbing at Inez, and that, she ends up laughing, like just like, listen, like, we're already dead, like what, and then, and by the end of it, they're all like laughing. All of them laugh just completely, diabolically, I guess, and it ends. Yeah. Well then, let's get on with it. A Bane continuon. So yeah, that is Hell is, or sorry, No Exit by John Passata. I think that's all I have for today. Thanks for watching.